thank you for your endurance, Attorney General Gonzales. I think it's fair to say that the 8 people who were dismissed you stand by those dismissals because, in your view, there were questions about performance. Is that a fair statement?
Well, I think that the problem about saying performance is that it means so many different things to different people.
But in terms of your office's calculus, that's what you were thinking when the dismissal decision was made.
That was the whole purpose of this process.
Right. And so you're concerned about performance of U.S. attorneys, right?
I think we all should be.
Right. And that includes you?
Yes.
And do you know Rachel Polos?
Yes, I do.
She worked for you directly, right?
She worked, yes, in the department, yes.
And
at Main Justice.
Right. And recently, well, I think 4 senior members of her staff resigned because of her performance issues. Is she still on staff? Is she still a U.S. attorney after those is she still on staff at this time?
Yes, she is, and I'm certainly aware of the problems in that office.
Here's my question. So the people who took voluntary demotions, right?
As I understand it, that is correct.
And that also with those voluntary demotions, they took pay cuts, right?
That I'm not aware of.
And so it was because of their objections to her performance, right?
As far as I understand, that's correct.
And this is a U.S. attorney who you know personally, right?
Yes, I do.
And in fact, you sent Mr. John Kelly down there to investigate the situation, right?
Absolutely. We became aware of the problems in that office, and we sent a career prosecutor to make an evaluation.
So that's a yes.
Report back to us.
That's a yes. And when did you do that? When did Mr. Kelly talk to members of the staff?
I would say within the past 2 months. I think either shortly before or after these individuals left their management position in the office. We sent someone down there, Mr. Kelly,
right,
to give us an evaluation of what was going on, because we were obviously very concerned about the
And Mr.
report.
Kelly talked with numerous people in the office, right?
That is what I understand.
And he took notes of what people said to him, right?
Well, I don't know if he took notes, but he reported back to what he learned.
So, just to be clear, he took notes. Isn't that true?
Congressman, I don't know if we.
So you mean? I just want to know: is there a document that would summarize what he learned on his visit to Minnesota?
I'm not aware that such a document exists. Such a document.
If such a document exists, would you provide it?
I'm happy to take that request back, Congressman.
Okay. Now I sent you a letter earlier this week. Isn't that right? Are you aware that I sent you a letter?
I'm not aware of the letter, but I get lots of letters, and I'm sure at the appropriate. I mean, I'm sure I'll make myself aware of the.
If I sent a letter to your office, and if I got a response back that it had been received, I can expect a full answer to the letter. Would you agree with that?
We try to be as forthcoming as we can in responding back to the Congress.
Now, Ms. Polos, she was appointed after a gentleman named Mr. Thomas Heffelfinger. Is that right?
He was the U.S. attorney before Ms. Polos.
And he had a good reputation, isn't that right?
As far as I know, that is correct.
And yet he appeared on a list to be fired from that was in your office, that was pulled together by Mr. Sampson. Isn't that right? My
understanding is that his name appeared with all the other 93 United States attorneys, but the views of Mr. Sampson were reflected about.
Right. So you don't know that. That's the one you don't know that one.
Well, my recollection is that there was that he was identified as someone that perhaps there may be issues with.
Right, and yet these issues didn't come from Minnesota, did they? These were not Minnesota concerns, to your knowledge.
That is, well, again, I don't know the source and why Mr. Sampson had that particular view.
So you don't know that one. That
is correct.
Okay, so here we have Mr. Heffelfinger, career prosecutor, and had prosecuted many cases, 58 years old, done the job for years. Ms. Polos was, 34 when she was appointed. Is that right?
Relatively young. I'm not sure they heard that.
Did she go through a Senate confirmation process?
30 seconds
yes,
remaining.
Yes, she was
deemed. There was a vote?
She was deemed, I don't know if it was a vote, but she was confirmed by the United States Senate as qualified to be the United States Attorney in that district.
And she was, and did the Senate have a vote?
You mean
a committee vote? Voting for her?
Well, again,
or was it another kind of process?
What I know is that she was confirmed by the United States Senate.
Is she going to remain in her position given the performance problems that have been come to your personal attention?
Well, if things do not change, obviously that would be something we would
The gentleman has
we would
expired.
have to consider. But we have expressed to Ms. Polis our concerns, and so we're going to work with her.
One last
to ensure that change
question.
occur.
One last question, Ms. If I unanimous consent for one last question. Given
Go
how
ahead.
long we've been here, did any of the the 8 individuals who we know were fired for allegedly performance issues have people quitting and going back to line positions in response to the difficulties that came about as a result of their leadership?
Not that I recall. Of course, the difference is all 8 of these individuals served their full 4-year term.
Thank you so much, sir. It's been a long day. We thought that our